Hello everybody and welcome to the Q&A. On stream today we have me, Mod Stone, we have Mod Matt K.
Hi.
Mod Gambit.
Hello.
And Mod Ash.
Hello.
So before we get into everything, how is everyone?
Good.
Good?
How are you?
Very well.
Yeah, not bad.
Anything exciting this week?
Have I done anything exciting this week? We've got All Stars coming up this week, this weekend, so we've been preparing for that, and we had a successful launch of Premier Club last week. So yeah, it's been good. Yeah, so got some exciting news. Potentially next week, you might get to meet our new member of the team. So that's good. Joining the art team. And
Is there a mod name yet?
There is no mod name yet. No, but
Be interesting.
I look forward to seeing them speculate.
yeah, what mod name should this new person go for? Not that.
Mod.
And
I'm not going to say any of those because they're all bad.
no, not any of them.
I thought I'd look forward to that.
Yeah. So on Premier Club, it is now active from last Thursday. It's running until mid-January, and it's generally the cheapest way to get membership if you're not on a grandfathered rate. So take a look. It's membership in the chat, ! membership. And the other exciting thing we've got this week is All Stars. So as we speak, about 3 or 4 of your favourite influencers are. Oh god, there's enough memberships in the chat.
Yeah.
And 3 or 4 of your most favourite influencers are in the sky. I think Ditterbitter is flying right now, and he said he would be practicing the All Stars on mobile. So that's pretty cool.
On mobile?
On mobile, on a plane.
Oh, good lord.
So, yeah. So
Wasn't there a Doctor Who episode where all the planes stopped flying?
There was a brief moment of it in the Magician's Apprentice opening of the previous season. Season 9, I think.
Yeah.
What was it? I'm sorry, I got
They started again fairly soon afterwards.
Yeah, sorry, this is completely geeking it out now, but the Doctor Who thing, the spin-off, Torchwood, there's one in that, wasn't there, as well?
I never saw Torchwood.
Brilliant, you should watch. There's some brilliant... Sorry, guys. There's some brilliant 3/4 part series in Torchwood about some very dark stuff, which is Doctor Who upper level. It's quite cool. I will link you to them later. Sorry, guys, carry on. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So we are back from the story time. So many of these guys will be fighting each other on Saturday. Unfortunately, with Sick Nerd being sick, he's had to drop out, but will be replaced by either Sea Engineer or Rakesy, who are battling it out on Friday for their place. Foe was not particularly happy about that, so he basically gets the best of those two, plus Ditterbitter and Torvesta in his group.
Oh dear.
So he's kind of got a bad deal there. Yeah, so that's happening. It's 5 p.m. GMT on Saturday on this channel and on some of the influencer channels as well. So Mod Rye on the chat is going to put in a straw poll and see what the Twitch chat thinks, who the Twitch chat thinks is going to win the All Stars. So get your vote in, and we'll see what you guys think in a few minutes' time. Mod Gambit, you had some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, sure. So in the recent news post about player workshops, you might have seen that we're inviting players to come to either, I think that we're based in the East Coast in the US, and I think London and Leeds in the UK, just to get a follow-up to the survey we did recently, so you guys can give more sort of detailed opinions about how you see the game going, what sort of direction you'd like it to be taken in. I've got a list of details just to make sure I cover all the main points here. So it's a random selection of players. I think we've got 50,000 from each, the US and the UK, and
Wow.
are going to be invited. Invitations have already gone out, so check your player inboxes. You will have them already if you've been invited, and you'll have an email follow-up right after the stream.
Can you clarify for the players how they can spot a real email as distinct from a fake one?
Yes, absolutely. So if you get this email, there'll be a code within it, which will match a code given in your player inbox. It's basically the inbox message in-game that is going to verify whether or not you've got a legit email. So yes.
That's good to know.
Very good way of checking that. Yeah.
So yeah, from the email, you'll be asked to fill out sort of a form with your details and sort of your availability, and if everything sort of checks out, you'll be invited to one of the workshops, and that's how you'll get involved. I think it's !workshop in the chat will bring up all the details, and there's also the news post that went out last week. Any questions can be directed to Mod Searcher at JagXSearcher on Twitter.
That's a good name for somebody who does survey stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because quite deliberately chosen. I know he spent a good few weeks agonising over what his name should be.
Wow. I don't think we gave it so much thought.
I didn't have a choice when I started. I was like, this is your name. All right.
They asked
Well,
if
you
I
spelled it
wanted Mod Ashley, but I was thinking of rebranding as Ash rather than Ashley. And Andrew didn't seem a bit puzzled by that one, but it seems to have worked out.
Yeah. What was really weird when I joined, I got given my JMod name, which was obviously Matt K, spelled with one T. Everywhere else in the entirety of Jagex, I had 2 T's in my name. And I thought on my first day, will I be that guy that says, actually, you spelt my name wrong? And I thought I better had, just in case I was here for longer than 6 months.
The way you spell Matthew, it's probably going to happen a lot.
Yes, my dad's fault completely. He was.
All right,
I'm curious
Yeah,
where
sorry,
the name
carry on.
Gambit came from, though.
Gambit. So I couldn't get the mod name I actually wanted initially.
Which was?
Which was my first name. It was taken,
Fair enough, yeah.
but then it just sort of came. I keep getting asked if it's a X-Men reference, which is not. I'm actually not particularly a comic book geek. It's a chess reference, so it's even nerdier than that.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
We're getting them moving on in the chat.
I don't get to be on here often, so I've got to get all my stories out. As
Stories
fast as
out. He
possible.
stores them up for weeks.
Yeah.
Doesn't talk to anyone either. We have had the poll results come in. It looks like Boaty has got his fans in the chat, and 20% of you thinking that Boaty's going to take it. Then Torvesta, then Ditter, Manked, Mr. Mammal up there, incredible. Foe, then Sea Engineer, Orrakesy, Mika with a measly 4%, Framed 5%, Abyss 3%, Skill Specs 4%, Perp 2%, Skidler 2%, Pure Spam just 1%, and Alfie with 11 votes. Poor Alfie. Come on, Alfie, he can do better. Yeah, that's
His viewers are on a
feels bad,
different
man.
time zone, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. They're not awake yet. So anyway, we're into the first question. So Honourable Zuko asks, Justicia armour was meant to be one of the staples of Theatre of Blood alongside the hilt. Yet the dragon plate body is now worth more than the plate body. The dragon plate body is now worth more than the Justicia plate body. Can we please buff the negative mage bonus on it so that you can at least cast a spell? Crumble Undead failing at Vorkath robs this armour of having even a niche use, making it near worthless.
I do recall that we were struggling a bit to find a set of stats that would get through a poll with all the concerns about power creep that come up whenever we offer new stuff of this nature. So sometimes we end up making something that's more conservative than it needs to be. And if players are now, close up, are now comfortable with having the thing improved, I'm okay with that. I don't know how you feel.
I think it's tricky, like you say, power creep's something we've got to be aware of all the time. And we wanted to, well, obviously I wasn't in the Old School team actually when this came out, sort of just before my time, but I think the tricky thing is we wanted to create a viable armour, but defensive rather than obviously with the strength boost that, say, Bandos has. But that immediately sort of limits how many people are going to use it regularly, because obviously the strength bonus is what a lot of players typically go for.
Yes.
I don't know, I could see it maybe getting a tiny buff if it makes it more usable.
Maybe that magic thing they highlighted.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. I think, like, having the dragon plate body is more useful than some top end raids to Theatre of Blood armor. Seems a bit silly. Into the next one, I will read this one a bit better. Ghosts of Lost Time asks, could Trouble Brewing be converted into a single player mini game? Most people just idle it anyway after putting in the required resources. I haven't seen anyone seriously attempt to win in over 10 years.
Yeah, I remember when we first started Old School, we polled about whether we could make it better rewards, and have a teleport to it. And that failed, the teleport did, didn't it? All the stuff did.
Well, how it is when we offer to make something reduced requirements, people who've already earned those requirements will tend to want it to stay that way. Which is fair enough, but not ideal for a minigame, which is why we probably wouldn't put another minigame in a situation like that.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
It'd be like, I don't know, locking a substantial new PvP thing behind, say, Monkey Madness 2, which is also the reason somebody was asking why we don't do more with disease. It's because it's locked behind Zoga Flesh Eaters.
Oh God,
and
yeah.
while that's, not top-end stuff, it's still one heck of a... close up again. One heck of an obstacle that means that we can't, have disease stuff running around the wilderness all the time. Also, the question of whether we'd want to have disease wandering around the wilderness all the time is kind of relevant to that one.
Indeed.
The dev who was originally designing it had in his mind that he'd make all kinds of different diseases, and you'd get to choose how you plan your inventory, whether you'd have anti-poison or anti-this kind of disease or anti-that kind of disease, and you'd have to try and make sure you got the right things so that you'd be able to cure yourself of whatever somebody came and shot you with when you were in the wilderness.
That sounds an awful lot of fun until you probably try and play with it, I think.
I recall Andrew Gower said, yeah, don't do that. Diseases, anyway, so yeah, sometimes content ends up with a whopping great big requirements on it, and Trouble Brewing suffers a bit from that. Also, I've never really come across any analysis of whether it's fun, because nobody ever gets a team, no one's ever going to have a team together to play
The
it.
difficult bit, I guess, is getting a group to do it. If you think at any one time we've got, 100 to 150,000 people online, which is a great number, by the way.
Yeah.
Good old mobile. So 100 to 150,000 people online. There's got to be at least 40 of those that want to play Trouble Brewing. How do we connect those 40 people together? So it is, I think, going back to this idea of being able to flag yourself for certain mini games and auto-matching type thing going on to make that a thing. So I think that would probably solve most of these problems for most people.
I think that sort of thing could be really solved with, like cross-world, sort of group finders and that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
So fingers crossed that we
That's all in the backlog.
we get that at some point.
As for making it single player, do they mean like player versus environment without needing a competitor?
Yeah, I would assume so, yeah.
We'd basically be deleting most of its code and recreating it in that new way, which, of all the things we could be spending that kind of time on, Trouble Brewing doesn't tend to be the one that people focus on. Wouldn't mind, though, if it gave people a reason to do it and made it appealing. For what it's worth, I would also like to have a go at the stuff. Specifically, the stuff you get from it, which is best item name ever since Beaver Pouch. Make it, if we could make that useful for brewing, like guarantee mature ale from it, maybe design some new ales that needed the stuff that were worth having. I really would like to do that, because brewing is it's a form of cooking that we've got. It's kind of unique, and it's very useless.
Yeah, indeed.
Awesome. So see him moving on in the chat. And Harktor asks us, is there any chance of more Australian member worlds? The worlds are really packed since mobile.
Yeah, I've dropped a note to one of our managers who deals with world numbers to make sure he knows about that, and say we would really, really appreciate more than the 11.
There's your answer.
If we, if we had any more worlds out there that we could just turn on, then we'd have done it. I think this one's going to need more actual hardware putting in place.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We've dropped a note up the chain to say please.
Sounds good. Saw a question about Hydra in the chat there, and there was a question here from a guy called, it looks like he's misspelled Eggy, but Eg1. He says, will the Hydra be considered a dragon?
I don't actually know.
I'm not certain, but I think so.
It's a funny looking one if so. I mean, I get with wyverns, they're like a bipedal dragon, and we don't know what it's got down there, but I can see what it looks kind of draconic.
Yeah, just looking in the chat, we've got Aiza, Wolf, Munro, all in the chat, and they are saying, yes. It is. So
marvellous.
It will be considered a dragon, and good stuff. There we go.
Drag on.
Drag on. And the question here from ESP724 saying, does anyone in the old school team actively play an Iron Man or any variation of it?
I have an Iron Man,
Do you play?
by the way. I was playing it. I've got a mobile-only Iron Man, which I've only ever played on mobile. Not very high level, but stops me having to listen to my wife and stuff, so it's fine.
That seems like a good use
Yeah.
of an Iron Man. Yeah, but there is, I think, Aiza has a hardcore Iron Man. I've got a hardcore Iron Man. I know Mod Lottie.
That might be a
plays.
hardcore Iron
Rock
Man,
has
actually,
an
thinking
Iron Man
about
as
it.
well, I think.
Yeah, Rock has an Iron Man. So yes, Mod West, he also has a hardcore Iron Man, I believe, in which he plays actively. So yes, lots. I'm not sure if Ash has an Iron Man.
I do not.
Ash is the Iron Man.
I don't think any of us has an ultimate one though.
No, we don't.
No, we're a bit more grounded than that.
Yeah. So next question, Super Gagala which is a great name, asks, is the costume room ever going to be improved? It's spelled like that. Interesting. A lot of bank space problems are related to have to store those cosmetic items until you have a whole set to put into your house, which takes forever for some. Brackets, by the way. Can you please change the costume room so you can store single items as well?
That is not an easy change. The way it was created was to simply remember, have you got the set? Yes, no. Obviously, we can write storage that isn't like that. Then we have to convert what you've already got into the new sort of storage. And that is the kind of thing where last time we tried it, we done goofed up and ended up with people the wrong items. Fortunately, they weren't items of radically different value. But we'd be trying it with every Treasure of Hell kit simultaneously. That's one heck of a risk. And, well, of course, like, just do it right. Easy to say, and not so easy to do.
Fair enough. We'll consider it a no for now, or forever.
I do like it. Simply as a different piece of content, I'd like the feature. I'm not committing us to being able to do it. Not in the immediate future, anyway.
There we go. Question about Christmas, which is soon approaching. Could or does the 2018 Christmas event have a candy cane whip die as a reward, which I think is an absolute awesome idea?
I do not think we've confirmed the design of the Christmas event at all yet.
Yes, I had a chat with Maz yesterday, and it's still all up in the air.
Cool. Highly could be possible. So I think that has been noted. Got Mod Bruno.
Candy cane whip die.
Candy cane whip die. I think that would look incredible.
Oh my.
What colour would it be?
White and red, surely.
Yeah, red and white and red.
I see. So there's not a candy cane whip, which has confused me.
Oh, the whip looking like a candy cane.
Right.
Now that would be next level.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, repaint jobs aren't usually too hard. For what it's worth, when an item's existed in RS3 and we end up with getting a version of it in Old School, we can't always make the same version they had because our render orders work so differently. That's why Eat the Spider, for example, at Halloween, she don't look like she does in RS3, where she can run around your arm and all that, because we tried it and she just renders right through your armour out the other side, or your arm renders through her. It wasn't releasable in that form, so Mod West kindly made it a sort of compromised version where she's a sort of thing on a string. He tried one version where she was kind of walking on the floor like a puppet, but we thought that was a bit too much string, especially when you started trying to flail around and hit things with her, like the Tale of Two Cats mouse toy. So we weren't able to get what RS3 had. The same would be true, I think, for I'm pretty sure they had candy canes that you could toss around and up in the air and all that.
That's right, yeah.
And we might not be able to get the same kind of candy cane, even if we have the graphics budget.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. So we're going to have our first showcase in a second, if Mod John can cue that up on the stream. But before that, we'll quickly ask from Deadman Noob, can we ever, I think that's all of us, can we ever get a Deep Wilderness quest or expansion? Is it possible to add versions of Slayer boss monsters in Deep Wildy? For example, a charred version of Cerberus in Deep Wilderness would be amazing. I think it's quite a question. It's almost 3 into 1, but I think that'd be awesome, personally.
Charred version as in paint the dog black?
You can paint the dog black if
Is
you
that-
wish.
oh, is that
Yeah, but he doesn't say paint the dog black, but a charred version of Cerberus certainly would suggest that. So Deep Wilderness quest expansion?
Maybe.
I don't know how I feel about quests that require you to go into the wilderness. Because if you get PK and you've got a bunch of items on you that you need for the quest, that's going to be a real pain. But Slayer bosses is interesting.
Do we have any quests that require you to go to the
I'm
wilderness?
trying to remember which version of Merlin's Crystal we've got at this point, because it used to be that you had to go and read the inscription on a Chaos altar up in the wilderness, and then I think we moved it to another one, possibly in Varrock.
Yeah.
I can't remember whether that was done before or after
I
August
think it's the
2007.
one in Varrock, if I remember rightly.
Okay, so we got that then.
There's also, you get dumped in there after Lost City.
You do, but people
Don't have
tend
to.
to have a home teleport.
Yeah. That's right, that's changed since, isn't it?
For what it's worth, when I did that thing back in Classic, there was no home teleport, and I walked out through the wilderness, and that seemed like what you do.
There's the follow-up quest from to get the see-through road mage.
Oh, yes.
Go through roads.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't think of another one.
I think that's it. But so it sounds like the opinion is we don't want to put any quests in there, but potentially I think we've got the wilderness bosses. But I guess this question is
Chronozon is in the wilderness bit of Edgefield Dungeon. Thank you, player.
yeah, very true.
On Mage Arena as well.
And Mage Arena 2, yeah.
Yeah, we're not. Mini quests has been a bit more varied, especially as half of them were in the wilderness before we came up with the notion of a mini quest.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, Mage Arena sits on your quest list, doesn't it?
Well, when we added the mini quest section to the quest list, we put the Mage Arena 1 in it, and then we put Mage Arena 2 next to it.
So for now, we'll park that one. Our first showcase involves a bedsheet. Let's bring that one up. So popular on Reddit this week. Basically requesting, can we wear the bedsheet outside of Port Phasmatis? I think it would be interesting, maybe for Halloween, but permanently?
The issue we always had with that was doing something while wearing it.
That's right. All the stuff you can do in Port Phasmatis takes into account that you might have that bed sheet on and handles you asbestic accordingly. That's not something we'd be offering to add to all the rest of the scenery across the game, I'm afraid. Especially as what you'd look like in combat could be fascinating.
So for that one, a no, but it would be quite interesting seeing people walking around like that, I think.
Take, for example, mounts, a topic that's come up from time to time. Assuming we could build you into a mounted creature and have you, walking around on its legs, we'd still have to adapt every animation-related thing that you could do to handle the fact that you're not in your normal pose. You're built into the back of a dragon or the back of a unicorn or the back of a sheep or whatever it is that you're riding out there in a game with no horses.
Yeah.
Or maybe a noob or wheelbarrow man. So
Penguin.
Yes. So that's why one of the problems about it, you click on a tree, it's got to handle, are you doing this kind of animation or the other sort? I mean, it could just say, you can't do this because you're mounted on something. It's probably what we would do. But it would be a check that has to be put in every kind of scenery, every kind of interaction, every kind of ladder that needs to be taken into account. And that's, there's rather a lot of code. Plugging that in everywhere, not missing any, is not something we'd be likely to be able to offer. And also keeping up the maintenance of it forevermore as more stuff comes into the game and needs this building into it, it's problematic. That's why whenever you've transmogged, like bedsheet, monkey, penguin, whatever else you can be, croc on a big gorilla, that was fun. We lock it to certain areas. And you know what it gets like if somebody does get out of the area with the transmog still in effect. You've seen the kind of inside-out monkeys you get around Grand Exchange sometimes.
Sounds delightful.
Yes, inside-out monkey always sounds delightful.
So jumping around, I've got some few different categories of questions, and I thought this was a classic cute noobs right here. So listen to the story and then see if you can explain what is going on with this one. So Sergeant November says, can someone explain the wilderness to me? I keep getting killed by a guy who is way above me. He casts a teleport stop spell and then 2 hits me with magic. I'm level 51 and in level wilderness 2 by thugs. Guy is dressed like an angel or something. Happened like 3 times. I thought at wilderness 2 I could only be attacked by people plus or minus 2 from me. What am I doing wrong?
Did he say the level of the much high person?
Much high person is just much high person looks like an angel. Doesn't sound like an NPC in level 2.
Looks like an angel.
I'm wondering about that.
We're thinking Helm of May, it's not, and White Mystic.
That might work.
Somebody in a prayer cape runs up, does the emote, and then starts doing this, but that would be a very odd thing to do.
Yeah, so I think the overall answer is you're most likely in a PvP world, and the
bigger threshold.
Yeah, bigger threshold. So make sure you double check the PvP world flag, on the world description, and then you'll be safe and sound.
I'm wondering about the looks like an angel now, partly because of the cosplay possibilities for next RuneFest.
Yes. So a other question that we've had come in that I thought was quite interesting was by Surprised Drop Bears. What are the team's thoughts on allowing us to rebuy or insure certain untradeable cosmetic items that take a long time to grind, such as Mutigans, Slayer Helm recolours, and Castle Wars items?
I'm quite keen on item insurance in the same way we've got pet insurance.
I think it makes sense to do it.
It's reasonable.
Do it via Purdue because he's already got the menu in all the right places.
Lots of no's in chat.
Yeah, should we get a straw poll on this one? It looks quite divided. Question, would you like to be able to insure untradeable cosmetics such as Mutigans, Slayer Helms, etc.? Yes or no? That's going to go in the chat momentarily while we move on. Nice Pirate asks, can you make Hardcore Iron Man bones appear as red on the ground if and when they die? Pros of doing this are that grinding Wintertodd will be exceptionally more enjoyable.
That's one heck of a pro.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll be able to do it.
Wow, I think that's that could be awesome. I think that could be really, really good.
Well, that got more interest than the last thing we talked about.
Yeah, the chat is wild on that idea. I think that would be awesome. We've already got the the community-led, community-run Hardcore Iron Man deaths, which is entertaining enough. But this would also be very interesting.
They'd also be quite rare, I'm thinking, because people don't have that happen all that often, at least not twice.
So essentially, there'd be a new model of things, but would just behave like a normal bone.
Yeah.
Be a quite cool thing for PKs
It's
to
become very collectible, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, PKs
Yes.
would be able to collect those.
If we were doing a really thorough job of it, we'd be expected to make a red pot of bone meal for when you stick them in the grinder.
Ooh.
I would consider that overkill, by the way, and a bit of a waste of time, but we'd be able to do it.
That's quite an almost evil thing to do. So the straw poll is in the chat. Let us know what you think about the insurance cosmetics. The Mod Bruno, if you are there and listening, the Hardcore Iron Man red bones seems to be a great thing to poll and work on in the future. So we are currently bugging, and we are. You can only talk if you're subscribed. So subscribe now, or never talk again. I'm joking. We'll hopefully get that fixed in the next few minutes. So the straw polls come in as well.
There's a lot of people voting. I like that.
Yeah, and it's reached the 75%.
That's a pass.
Yeah.
Yay and nay,
I think
because yes is just too passé.
well, we've got all the
think-
Twitch Prime subs coming
Well,
in.
the only downside I can think about this would be, is there something you use or resources you use to get the items that are then untradeable, and therefore will it hit the economy that way? That's the only thing I can think of, but I can't think of anything
Such
significant.
as Castle Wars tickets. People don't want to take part in Castle Wars anymore because they've, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Very often, like take mutagens, the untradeable cosmetic came from something untradeable in itself, like the mutagen, and that's the kind of thing where, having got it, I don't mind you being able to insure it, especially as we tend to charge a deductible when you claim your insurance if it's like pets.
Yes. You can have maybe a voluntary excess.
Yeah,
Excess, that's the word.
I like it. So it sounds like a good idea. Awesome. Simo with about 400 O's after it, asks, can this fire-making skill cape be given a new perk to teleport it to any fire pit from making friends with my arm? Maybe not unlimited, but...
Yeah, a bit powerful, that, isn't
It
it?
sounds strong.
There's a lot. There's not that many of them, I guess, but I can see you'd be getting to God Wars a lot easier.
Yeah.
In a
God
fire
Wars
cape.
one.
Give you a reason to get 99 fire making, no?
That's true.
At the moment, the only perk is the light source, isn't it, essentially?
It's a light source, which isn't the most popular perk because you can't alch a light source, and people like to be able to alch their skill capes.
Is that like a sort of a extra healthy mayonnaise?
No.
Get off. Get off.
Like sauce. Sauce.
Yes, light source.
Yeah.
So the...
Cutting from the camera, sorry.
yeah, move the camera. There we go. The Q&A now is just with Ash, Gambit and me.
Next.
Question. Catacorn comes in. I think this is probably one for Mod Gambit here. Can there be a contest to write a song for new places? Like you do, we do art and login screen stuff. Could there be a competition for a song?
Totally. We just need to be able to adapt their MIDI file to sound good in our sound bank, which is not easy necessarily.
Yeah, as long as it's something we can do and it translates.
MIDI's a standard format. That's how I remember to bring in music live written.
Yeah, sounds really cool. Be a good idea, I think.
Most definitely. Is that software free, do we know, to work in MIDI?
Well, there's any amount of software out there that writes in MIDI, including free ones. Personally, I bought the Sibelius package as a kind of treat for myself years ago after an annual bonus.
So other MIDI software?
Lots of things write MIDI in the same way that lots of things export bitmaps and JPEGs.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
What they don't do is all sound the same because the instruments are defined by normally a sound card, or if you're playing old school, defined by the old school sound bank. And if the strings in your sound bank are louder or harsher than the ones in old school sound bank, then your music will not be balanced right when we import it. So whenever I've brought in music I've done outside, I normally have an hour and a half or so of tweaking the balance up and down, using another MIDI editor in the office until it sounds good playing in the old school clients, and then ship it.
Nice. So potentially what we could do is take the raw file from them, but they could also submit a like an MP3 version, and we can try and match it up in the client to what they expected it to be.
Yes, at the very least they might like to publish their work on SoundCloud, YouTube, anywhere they like really.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good
Get
idea.
the publicity for it.
Maybe for Kebos. Could be quite cool. So talking about Kebos, there is a question here about the Hydra again, so from Genexa, who asks, when the task-only Hydra boss is released, will it have a unique music track? And if it will we be able to unlock the track without the Slayer requirement? Obviously 95 Slayer is quite high, boosts the music cape requirement up from 75 Slayer to 95.
I don't know.
Any of the other staff are in the chat.
Yeah, I think we need
I suppose
Kieran for this
right?
one.
I believe it does have a track. I'm not sure if you can get it without the Slayer requirement.
So coming from Mod Rai, who's on the chat, he said
He's not sure.
he's not sure, but it will have a track, and how you get it is yet to be decided. If Aiza is in the chat still, maybe he can shed some insight on that one. So let's just gonna pick one that I've kind of not been avoiding, but just wanted to get the team's opinion on. Is where did I put it? Yes, from Jester. With people now sculling in the Rev Caves to receive a better chance at loot, maybe it would be possible to make the Amulet of Avarice, there we go, increase the quantity of normal loot. This would automatically skull you, but maybe allow the Avarice to be combined with a Salvami. What do we think? If I got those words out, Avarice.
So hang on. So
people know that by being skulled in the Rev Caves, you get better loot, and that amulet.
So that's applying that to other places.
No, it's still within the Rev Caves, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's looking at other ways of getting it. Sorry, can I read that one?
Yeah, from Jester. Yeah,
Thanks.
it's a not a very well worded question, but that was my understanding of it.
So you'd have that on instead of getting a skull?
Believe so. Doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah, I'm wondering, there's two ways I can see this. I get a skull by not attacking somebody else. Therefore, anybody else who attacks me also gets a skull. Is that the way it still works? I can't remember. No, it doesn't work that way, does it? It's been a while.
If you attack somebody who has not attacked you, you get a skull.
Yeah. So there's that side of things. And the other side of things is I can get a skull. If I'm wearing this, I get the same thing in the Rev Caves anywhere else in the wilderness. Better loot.
I think we'll have to come back to this one because it doesn't make too much sense. But Thorn says, what does the team think about a permanent tournament world or more regular sort of scheduled tournament world instead of the ad hoc that we do now?
We've talked about doing this, and it's something we've considered. I think the danger is we don't want to provide somewhere that players could just constantly have end-game content without having to sort of achieve it, essentially. We're sort of happy to do it in the run-up to sort of tournaments and competitions, that kind of thing.
We've brought them out most Februaries as a little treat, but it's a special treat from time to time, not something we're looking to offer all the time. I'm afraid if you want to run around with high-end gear and top-end stats, you have to get them. The players have some thoughts in the chat about what that question actually meant,
Right, what have they got?
about combining the items.
If Mod Rai could scan the chat for us, we were going to try and clarify what Jester meant there. He wants extra resources from Revs while wearing the amulet and also potentially combining it with the salve, which is silly. Revs are already too profitable.
Well, that seems to cover the answer too. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the question and answer. Good job to that man or woman. Perfect. Question from Material Gas, one that I can probably answer, to be honest. Where does the ad revenue go that is generated from the Q&As? I'm sure it would it just goes to the bottom line, but if I had a preference, I would like it to be added to Mod Ash's salary, which is very sweet of them.
That's very kind of them. I thought we had a charity set up of some sort.
Correct, yeah. So just to answer this one quickly.
And it's not the Buy Mod Ash Another Mug charity.
No, that's not. We've got quite a few of the signed Mod Ash mugs in stock. And but what that is it goes to all of our charities. It's split equally. And I think since we started the channel back in, I think it was June, no, earlier than that, wasn't it? It was actually February for our birthday. That was the first one.
That's right, yeah.
We've had about $3,000 or $4,000 worth of charity money raised by ads and subscriptions. So any money that is subscribed, donated via bits, ads, anything like that, all goes to charity. So
you use your Twitch Prime.
Yep, so it's really appreciated. Anyone that subs or does any bits. So Box Terrier, I think he's in the chat as well, asks, since birdhouses are being nerfed, are there plans to increase seed drops elsewhere? Tree seeds are still hard to come by, and this would be a chance to increase bird nest drop rate from wood cutting, for example, rather than seeds coming from PVM. What do you think?
Are there not enough seeds coming in right now then?
There are plans to increase the availability of hop seeds from pickpocketing farmers. That's actually in a current poll and is passing last I saw.
Yes.
And we should probably shut that thing.
Yes, I think it's well past, so it's going in
Yes.
tomorrow. So yeah, probably close that poll.
In fact, I think Mod Wolf was just finishing programming it. In case you're wondering where he is, he's upstairs working. And what else we got?
Basically, people just saying that they would rather see seeds coming from something like wood cutting than PVM.
Yeah, in fact, I think you touched on that in the draft of the news post I saw.
Yes, so there's a lot more sort of explanation and justification in the news post going out tomorrow about the balances around birds' nests. I think obviously as part of sort of our overall initiative to decrease skilling resources coming from PVM, if we did need more seeds coming into the game, then woodcutting's sort of a reasonable avenue. I'm not sure where else we'd look.
Well, the Master Farmers is the one that we've currently started with, but also moving the nests themselves away from PVM and towards birdhouses. What it's worth, the rabbit foot necklace, weirdest bonus there is, I'm not entirely sure whether it was intended this way or not, but the effect of the rabbit foot necklace is that if you're woodcutting and you get a nest, it increases the chance of the nest being eggs or a ring rather than seeds. So it's the kind of amulet you can make with a hunter requirement to get the ingredient that makes you less likely to get seeds from a woodcutting nest. Now, this is not useful, I think.
I think too many people find
it's better since we added a use for those eggs in the woodcutting guild, at least, although it's a funny ass use. So what we could do is just redesign the rabbit foot necklace to give you more nests. I mean, there's already a perk of that nature around, but we could make it do it even more, or make the nests more likely to have seeds in, or anything of that nature. Just so that having got this thing, which I think it's even got a make all for stringing it, it's not useless.
Not quite. A question here related to mobile, and it's from King of the Skill. Asks, I'm going to keep asking this until it actually makes it onto a poll. Can cow hides be made the top item spawn when you kill a cow? Right now they're at the bottom and then a signature drop, and it would be better for noobs and mobile users to have them on top.
Yeah, it's coming tomorrow.
There we go. It's coming tomorrow. Excellent. Good news for mobile noobs. Brilliant stuff. And I've got a few ones that are in the category of random, but we'll save those for now. Any questions you do want to ask, just at Old School RS in the chat, and Mod Rai will pull the best ones through. There is one here from AOAA Tube, and he goes, what are your personal favourites for the All-Stars tournament, and who do you think is going to take the win?
I'm going to win because 3 people aren't going to turn up. I'll have to go on as a substitute along with you, and I'll win.
I'm wondering how he knows they're not going to turn up and what he's done to their vehicles.
Yeah, no
We spoke about that Doctor Who thing earlier, didn't we?
If you can freeze aeroplanes in midair.
So, a serious answer from Modmac K.
Oh, who's going to win? I think Ditterbetter will win.
Gambit.
Ditterbetter is a solid choice. I'm going to go for one of the sort of more underdog competitors and say Mika. I reckon he's got a good chance.
He does have a good chance. I think from me, I was leaning towards Ditterbetter as well. He's in the same group as Torvesta though, and I think Torvesta's got a good chance, but I'm going to go for Boaty. Modash.
I think Sick Nerd will recover, and that is the most valuable benefit one can get, one's own health back.
That is true. He is the ultimate winner if that happens.
The winner will be the players who are watching. That's who the real winners are.
Everyone's a winner. Okay. We'll move on. So, another one about Christmas from R. Robert, asking, for Christmas this year, can places such as Varrock Centre be filled with snow and players be able to wear their penguin suits in the snowy areas again?
Maybe.
Well, we'd certainly paint somewhere snowy. We always do, although where we do it has been a matter of some debate back and forth. I believe we moved away from Varrock because on PvP worlds people found it really annoying, and we can't do it just on some worlds, not on others, so we put it somewhere else instead. Did we do Lumbridge last year?
That rings a bell, doesn't it? Yeah.
I know we've done Falador Park at one point. It's been a while since I did a Christmas event myself, so I've not had to do the painting in years. It was really quite scary back in 2014 when I realised I actually had to learn to do the map editor well enough to do it.
The map editor's changed a bit since then, I think.
Yeah. Well, also I've had a bit more practice.
Yeah.
So,
But with the penguin thing, we'd seem to have to stick Larry in there or something that can transmog you in and out. I think we actually would be able to do it, although dev time will be short and there's only so much we can allocate to these temp events, so don't want to promise it, but wouldn't rule it out.
Snow in the Inferno, even rhymes. Come on, that's a sellable thing.
The Inferno.
oh, very good.
Do you remember the Karanja volcano being the site of the Christmas event? It was done first for the Goblinch thing in 06.
yes, of course, yeah.
Yeah, weird event that. Turned out it's based on the Grinch. I had no idea because I didn't realise Goblinch was a reference. And there's no other aspect of it that seems to refer to
Wasn't that the one where you had to kidnap children?
The
a different one.
The Goblinches had child-anapt the Childakins from Moosa Point, and you had to liaise with Shanty Claus, the singing sailor werewolf, about getting them back again. We recreated it we dug it out of the archive and put it back in Old School shortly after we came out. It was... the dialogue was intense.
So moving on. This really captured my attention when I was looking through all the most popular things this week. And it's a public service announcement, and I've done a bit of investigation. So this user is calling for us to be held accountable. Since the Dual Arena tax has been implemented, we've seen a massive influx of tax revenue to the Al Kharid government. We have not seen any economic development in the region. We have not even seen the funds being used to train the puny-ass Al Kharid Palace guards past level 9. We demand answers from Jagex. Where is the tax revenue going?
They had their windows redesigned at the south end of the palace so that people can climb through.
Apparently, that is a good use of 2.2 trillion GP to replace a window. And for context, that is 30,200 sets of dragon claws.
I had a double glazing person around the other day, so can confirm that is the going rate for a window.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
It seems like it. So obviously the Dual Arena tax is taking lots of GPs out of game. Lots and lots of money there. 2.2 trillion GP.
Also, we never do see the the Emir of Al Kharid. I mean, he's got his Chancellor Hassan knocking about, and we all met his son Prince Ali, but the guy could be, I don't know, sitting on a solid gold toilet somewhere for all we know.
There we go. Maybe that's where the tax money is going to. Maybe the
Beach
toilet
of
on Fossil
Uglog.
Island.
Or his kitchen is fitted with a gold sink.
Yes.
Very clever. Very,
Welcome
very
to the
good.
team.
Thanks.
Very, very good. So back to a question that we've had coming in. Let me just find it. It was here. It is from Ultimate Iron Man Herblore. Currently, the Slayer skill cape is quest locked. It's the only quest locked skill cape in game. If we ignore Herblore, which is quest locked as a skill, can we see the new Slayer Master in Kebos as an alternative source of the cape?
So where do you get it from now?
I'm not entirely sure.
Duradel in Shiloh Village,
Yes,
which
okay.
is why it's quest locked.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, Duradel, well, the combat level requirement on him is not entirely appropriate considering he's all about Slayer, and it's not like back in 2005 where people could have really high combat but never train Slayer because Slayer don't just come out. So
I would like to know how many players have 99 Slayer and haven't unlocked that quest. It's probably not huge amounts.
well, I don't know all the requirements of Shiloh Village, but if there's something that Pures can't get past, I can see
That's
that
a fair
being
point. Yeah, that's a fair point. I would have expected to have heard about it if there was, though, by now.
We'd probably have told them it's their choice to limit themselves if they had raised it.
Yeah, that's our usual answer.
Yeah.
I love Shiloh Village, but mind you, I loved it in Classic. It may feel different in RS2.
Yeah, no, I think this is one of those things where there's an anomaly, but is it really any practical bad thing that's really out there?
Well, I see
have a look.
Ghost OSRS says that Pures can do Shiloh Village, so that probably isn't the issue for them.
There we go. So the answer is
The
probably
answer is we can do something about it, but is it worth the effort if it's not really a problem?
not. Doesn't sound like a problem.
It could be a problem. That's what we can use Lottie and her guys to look at,
Makes
see
sense.
if it is.
I wonder if we could have the contact NPC spell sell you a cape remotely. I'm not too keen on that because it might turn up anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, your Slayer cape's kind of dropped anywhere in the world for you to find.
Or you're on Entrana, you suddenly get a cape delivered to you automatically by magic, and off you go in your armour.
I suppose in the sort of the idea of science and everything else, we should ask the chat if any of them are 99 Slayer without completing Shiloh Village, and that'll give us a good indication of how much of a problem this
They're
is.
all going to say yes.
I know they are.
There we go. So another question here related to Theatre of Blood from Jamplex. Can we remove random events from the Theatre of Blood area? In Raids 1, my ears aren't assaulted by Evil Bob every time I bank.
I'm guessing that's because around the bank, it's defined as a bank area where random events automatically don't turn up. And we probably didn't do that to the whole of Theatre of Blood because it's banked way over the other side of the courtyard.
Yeah.
Yes, we can block the things.
There we go. That is in there for you. Let's have a little looky through the questions. If we can get any in the any from the chat, that would also be awesome. This is quite an interesting name that I will try and pronounce correctly. It is Falek. Asks, what do you envision Konar's role in the Slayer meta? An alternative to Cristilia for building up points? Also, will her tasks be mostly in single way, or has that not yet been decided?
Konar is the new chap on Kebos, yeah?
Yep.
New person.
And he stroke she, as I don't know the gender, is gives you area-specific ones. Am I right?
Yep.
Which sounds quite fun to me. It's a whole different way of training.
Konar is
isn't
a
it?
woman.
Is it? Okay.
Yep. Aiza in the chat.
Thanks, Aiza.
The placeholder model at the moment is Duradel, but
Is it?
that is a good time actually to call out that tomorrow afternoon, Mod Ghost. Is it Mod Ghost or is it Mod West? It's Mod Ghost. Thought it would be Mod Ghost. Mod Ghost is doing a design stream tomorrow afternoon, and so make sure you tune in for that. He's going to be designing what Konar actually looks like, I believe. So that is going to be super exciting.
What species is Konar?
I wouldn't like to answer. I do not know.
A new one.
A new species.
I believe it's the coin.
Ah, Konar is a Khalith.
As long as it has cat ears, it's fine.
God.
We had a request for black cat ears from the Halloween event this year. We didn't do it in the end. We went with the clown thing.
Probably safer not
And
to, I think. Yeah.
Eek, but
Yeah, that clown thing is scary, isn't it?
I love what Mod
Scary,
West did
yeah.
there. He asked what kind of clown I wanted, and I asked if I could have Pennywise. He gave me something pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, isn't it?
That being said, on the on one of the showcases, hopefully Mod John can sort this out for me. Showcase number 5, the 2 images there of a special cat that has been on Reddit, and some nice artwork by Zuhar that is actually appropriate to show on stream for once. And that's coming up for us in a second. Before that, though, we're just going to take a question from the chat. I believe this one's been asked, but let's just get a definite answer on this. The question about if you unequip your staff and re-equip it, about automatically reselecting its spell. Did we discuss before that was an engine job, potentially, or...?
No, what I did to the auto-casting infrastructure as part of the spellbook rework means it's a lot easier than it would have been like 4 months ago. We just have to get agreement on associating what spell it should be with what staff, because we're not going to offer to say, well, your Mystic Air staff knows you want this spell, but your Mystic Earth staff knows you want this spell, your Standard Earth staff wants this kind of spell, and the Earth Battle staff remember something different, because you'd probably do your nut coping with it.
That would be insane, wouldn't it?
So maybe
I don't think they'd thank us
spell
for
that
it.
was autocast.
Well, what we could do is remember the last standard spell and remember the last ancient spell. There's not much else you're going to want there. When you get into this mode, then it just sees, oh, you're on standard spell, but we'll give you the last standard spell. I'm aware that switching and then setting up autocasting is, however, something you currently have to do. If we make it happen automatically, that is a change that may not always go down so well. But we can probably associate it with where you're standing, like not do it in the wilderness if that were going to be a problem for people. That
makes sense. So let's bring up the showcase of the cat. So Reddit user here saying, this cat basically really upset him. It's a desolate, sad place. Please take me with you.
There's something wrong with that cat.
Yeah, it does look a bit mangy. Looks like it's doing Movember.
And it says peoples.
Yes. So why can't we rescue the cat, basically? And Zuhar has done an artwork of Save the Cat, and that is going to be coming up in a second. And I think that's quite adorable. But how come we can't rescue the cat?
I can see why you want to wear a face mask if you're going to hold a cat like that. Like it's dirty, that cat.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not the first thing on our agenda, but it does seem... it's like the dog in Varrock, though, right? Like, people want to adopt the dog in Varrock. It's the same as this cat.
Maybe we just allow people to donate money to the cat.
What did the cat do with money?
Oh, I don't know. It was just gold sink, isn't it?
True. Let us euthanize it, I saw in the chat.
Didn't Ali the alley cat in Polnivnich in RS3 accept bribes for no apparent reason?
If people feel bad about it, I see it as a good opportunity to eke some money out of them. And take it out of the economy.
All right, so you haven't had
at least wash the cat or comb it or something after doing.
Yeah, I think maybe combing it or looking after it, or maybe you can use some milk on it. Maybe it makes it look less mangy. Anyway, we will move on for another question from the chat.
What we could do, okay, this sounds even a bit more bizarre.
Moving that again.
Right, sorry guys. We could allow them to donate money to the cat and to the dog. Then we count out how much money they donate.
It's a cat versus dog type.
Whichever gains the most can survive.
I was not going to go that far. I was thinking about maybe a charity thing could happen there or something. I don't know.
That could work.
Or maybe if you kill that cat, then you can have Bob back.
Oof.
Oh, too dark.
Too soon. So, Furbalder, another great name, asks, with the upcoming update of the Kebos Lowlands, I wanted to point out that the cooking skill is almost entirely fish, and was wondering if we could see other items like venison or boar and new cooking food items introduced to make cooking more dynamic.
The problem we've got there is the massive availability of fish. Like, you can get your spit roast out and cook bird meat on it that you get from Hunter. Do you? Probably not. Why would you? It's really inconvenient, whereas fish just come out the ground, come out the water all the time.
You see, I always like the idea of taking food one step further. So you've got food that heals you for hit points.
Yeah.
What if you combined it with potions as well? So you actually create a proper dinner, a Sunday roast, for example, or a venison.
Like a potion that also heals you a bit.
So a potion and health together, and you combine the things and the different ingredients. So you'd cook your chicken with some guam leaves and some other bits and bobs, and it will all turn into this lovely meal that you eat, and then you get the bonus of healing yourself plus getting rid of poison or something.
I kind of like
strictly speaking, that's barbarian potions. Only rather than having a chicken stuffed with say, I think Marintel, I suppose, to cure poison. What we've got is that you take your potion and put caviar in it, or fish, or cheaper fish eggs, and you get something that looks disgusting and has a fairly grim-looking model, and tells you it's disgusting when you consume it.
Yes, or we can make disease more prevalent in the wilderness and have it have it cure disease.
Oh dear God!
Different sorts of diseases, so different foods.
There, yes, I think there is a barbarian version of Relisim's balm, which is one of the least used things out there. But I like where we're going. We like stuff a chicken with these kinds of herbs, and you get.
Added benefit.
Would you drink it out of the chicken? You could do that. That would be
I've
quite
never
a
been
cool.
asked that before. I've never been asked that ever.
Quite a cool animation of you like grabbing the chicken like that and chugging down.
Well, it'd be more interesting than the animation of you eating, a whole shark or a chicken or spit roasted chompy meat.
Yeah, it's a bit. There is a bit samey.
The player ain't wrong. It would be nice if there's a lot more variety. The trouble is that if we make something new, it's either got to be more accessible than fish.
Oh, I saw a
Maybe,
good one in the chat. Wait, I saw a good one in the chat of maybe using it as a glaze. So you'd have your glazed shark. Sweet chili glazed shark sounds pretty nice.
Fair enough. What about tying it into construction so that you can serve different food on your table when you have friends round, and tie it into your construction skill rather than necessarily your cooking skill, or have an extension of construction and cooking to go both down that route.
That could work.
That way it's
I am seeing a movement
social
on the
thing.
chat.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good idea. I think it's not going to be happen instantly. It's a lot.
I think the solution of this is probably found in the pub.
Or possibly the Hasidious servery.
Yeah.
So a question from OS Suggestion, which is another good name. Can we look into another use for the Vorkath heads? Maybe we could tie it in with the Pool of Dreams in the Myths Guild, sacrifice a Vorkath head to refight Galvek and get a drop table roll upon successful attempt to get some mythical dust that could be used on the Vorki pet for the Galvek transmog.
That would be quite a transmog, actually.
That would be pretty
Galvek looked very striking.
I would like to see something else for the Vorkath heads, because once you've obviously unlocked the Ava's assembler.
Yep.
Yeah.
Accumulator, I thought, but oh no,
Ava's
you're right.
Assembler, yes.
Yeah.
It sort of doesn't have much else other than obviously mounting it in your play-around house.
And possibly necromancy.
Yes, that's true. But do you know, are players actually doing that with the heads, or sort of keeping them? I don't know.
Well, it depends what we made the thing do. If you, like, if we made it give you something that with a loot roll on it.
So how about, right, sorry, you have a staff, you put the head on top of it, and the different heads you get give that staff added bonus for something or other, and they degrade over time, so you've always got a use for these new staffs. Magic type things.
Not a terrible idea.
It'd be more fun than the rat pole.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It gives a bonus to it, it gives a reason to keep using them, they become of value, and you get to stick a severed head on the end of a big stick.
Sounds brutal.
And
But
I thought my idea about the cat was bad.
It's already dead.
we'll move on though. There is a quick question from D. Callie that I think we can just quickly answer. Of
Yes.
when will there be a bond pouch on mobile? iOS doesn't have one, so I can't spend money on you guys. Matt K, can you give a quick?
Sorry, what I was
reading the chat.
watching the people roasting me in the chat.
So yeah, the bond pouch on mobile. This person is on iOS. So can you explain the behaviour of the bond pouch? This is when we need Ed.
Yeah, so
I
when
can
you
do it
dead.
if you need.
Yeah, you do it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the bond pouch on iOS doesn't appear if you haven't already got a bond in your pouch. On Android, it is completely, you're able to do with it what you wish. So that is how it's going to be for the moment.
Yeah, the reason for this isn't just that we didn't feel like making it available to Apple users out of spite or something, even if, because a lot of our staff are Apple users, I think. It's like different app stores will have different rules about what they're comfortable with you doing with your own payment systems on their platform. And, their store, their rules, we will comply.
So your experience is different across both platforms, and it's just to do with the individual store rules, basically. I was going to just say there's a really nice showcase of a comic, and if Mod John can bring that up ready while we ask another one from the chat. Daphne asks, can the holiday items weights be removed? Some are fun to use but weigh a lot. For example, the Christmas present. Does seem it.
Yeah, I don't see a point having a weight on them.
No, I mean
I think somebody wanted it to look like a great big heavy present and made it
heavy.
heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with that.
I think we can take the weights off. I mean, that might be a good one to add to the backlog. Let's just, as I'm going to search for a new question, let's bring up the comic, which I thought was incredibly funny. It's a comic of people seeing about talking about playing RuneScape, and goes, "Mummy, there are two men playing RuneScape. Don't look at them, Ricky. Don't want you to be influenced by. Oh God, no, Ricky, it's too late. Half mother, 99, 92 is half of 99." Thought it was very amusing, and thought I'd highlight it to the chat.
Reminds me of we've got a Facebook chat group my family has where we all sort of chat rubbish in there. And my daughter, who's at university, she put in there 2 days ago, "Dad, 70% of my friends are playing that new RuneScape mobile app thing." I was like, good.
Yeah, one of the some security guy walking through the science park the other night on his way to another office called me over to just say how much he's enjoying mobile because he can play it while he's on duty securing the science park.
I've seen a few people at the gym as well playing it, and we are having a time check. It is now gone 6, but we're going to squeeze in one last question.
Yeah.
Thoughts on adding a grace period to PvP worlds after getting a kill, similar to when logging out on Deadman worlds?
Grace period, as in you can't.
So if you no, I think it's when you kill. I think what they mean is when you kill somebody, you have like 10 seconds of almost immunity, so you don't get pile jump straight away.
Yeah.
I mean, I play on PvP worlds a bit, and I'm kind of biased for this, but.
As I recall, we offered something of the sort back in 2013, and they weren't very keen on it at the time. They don't seem to have changed their minds all that much since.
Yeah. I've always been of the opinion that if you're somewhere where you can fight all the time, you should be able to cope with people attacking you straight after you fought someone else. That's all part of it. But again, if the players vote that they want that to change, then that can change.
Yeah, I think the overall from the chat is saying no, but that's where we're going to end today. So there's a few questions left unanswered. I'll leave them in the on the tablet for next week. Our next stream is actually tomorrow for Mod Ghost's design stream. Is designing Konar, who is the new Slayer Master, coming with the Kebos Lowlands in January. And then after that, we have got the All Stars PvP Championships on Saturday, 5 PM GMT on this channel. Tune in, don't miss it, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.